Chapter 7: Strategic Sectors Under Custodianship, a Blueprint for Implementation. To reclaim the wealth and sovereignty of African nations, the following sectors must be placed under lawful state custodianship, guided by constitutional reforms, legislative clarity, and citizen participation. These are not just economic sectors, they are the arteries of national survival and progress. Without control over them, no true development is possible. 1. Land, the mother of all resources. Why it matters. Land is the foundation of all production, agriculture, housing, mining, and also for spiritual identity. Without equitable access to land, poverty will continue to persist until Jesus come. Custodianship Framework. 1. All land, rural and urban, shall be placed under state custodianship with user rights allocated to individuals, communities, and/or institutions based on social and productive value, not speculative profit. 2. Indigenous and traditional land governance systems must be formally recognized and integrated. 3. A land use tribunal will oversee transparent allocation and dispute resolution, ensuring accountability and preventing elite capture. Immediate action points. Audit and expropriate idle lands, underutilized or illegally held land without compensation. Prioritize land access for youth, women, and landless communities engaged in food production and cooperative ventures. Create a national land registry accessible to all citizens. 2. Mineral resources and energy. Why it matters. Africa is rich in minerals: gold, platinum, oil, cobalt. Yet the continent sees little of the value extracted. Energy access remains unequal and overpriced. Custodianship Framework. All mineral rights must revert to the state as the sole custodian, eliminating private and foreign ownership of underground wealth. Licensing and partnerships for extraction will be performance-based, time-bound, and linked to local value chains. Renewable energy infrastructure, solar, hydro, wind, shall be prioritized and developed under public ownership, ensuring equitable access and environmental responsibility. Immediate action points. Cancel exploitative mining licenses and renegotiate based on custodianship principles. Establish a sovereign mineral fund, where all royalties and profits are reinvested into national development. Build local refining and manufacturing capacity to stop raw mineral export dependency. 3. Water and sanitation. Why it matters. Water is life. Privatization of water has led to scarcity, high costs, and exclusion of the poor. Custodianship Framework. All natural water sources, dams, and treatment infrastructure shall be declared under permanent state custodianship. Water provision must be nonprofit, with tiered pricing to ensure universal access while preventing waste. Community water councils will oversee equitable distribution and conservation at local levels. Immediate action points. Reverse water privatization contracts and remove foreign control over municipal services. Invest in rural and township water infrastructure using local labor. Launch a national water conservation and climate resilience campaign. 4. Food and agriculture. Why it matters. Food sovereignty is national security. Import dependence and land grabbing have made Africa vulnerable to hunger. Custodianship Framework. 1. Large-scale farms shall be transitioned to cooperative and community ownership under custodial oversight. 2. State-sponsored agroecology, sustainable farming, programs will promote seed sovereignty, soil health, and local markets. 3. National food reserves and price stabilization mechanisms will ensure affordability and access. Immediate action points: ban foreign ownership of agricultural land and reverse land deals that compromise food sovereignty. Provide youth with land, training, and startup inputs to build a new generation of agro entrepreneurs. Integrate traditional farming knowledge with modern techniques under community led extension services. 5. Banking and financial systems. Why it matters. Economic transformation is impossible without control over credit, savings, and investment flows. Custodianship framework. A state owned People's Bank shall become the primary custodian of national savings, offering low interest loans to productive sectors. 2. Commercial banks must reinvest a mandatory percentage of profits into community owned development funds. 3. Mobile money and financial tech platforms must be locally regulated to prevent digital colonialism. Immediate action points: create a government issued digital currency that is supported by the country's real physical wealth. The government creates a digital form of money, like a digital rand, that is backed by actual physical assets the country owns, such as gold, land, minerals, or state owned companies, to give the currency real, stable value. Key concepts explained. 1. Government issued digital currency, a digital version of national money created and controlled by the central bank or government. Example, digital rand. 2. Supported by real physical wealth. This means the digital currency is not just based on belief or government decree, but linked to the country's actual resources, such as gold reserves, mineral, for example, platinum, coal, land and agriculture, state owned assets like ESCOM or Transnet. This makes each unit of the currency backed by something tangible. Nationalize any bank that consistently engages in extractive lending or illicit financial flow. The government should take over full ownership and control of any private bank that is repeatedly harming people or the economy through unfair lending practices or illegally moving money out of the country or hiding it. Illicit financial flows. Breakdown of key terms. 1. Nationalize. This means the state takes over from a private company, turning it into a publicly owned institution. The government would own and run the bank on behalf of the people, not for private profit. 2. Extractive lending. This refers to loan practices that drain wealth from borrowers or communities. Examples: high interest rates that trap people in debt, giving loans with unfair terms to poor communities or small businesses, prioritizing profit over development and long term financial health. 3. Illicit financial flows, IFFs. These are illegal or unethical money movements across borders, including tax evasion, money laundering, smuggling profits to offshore accounts, transfer pricing abuse, when multinational companies move money between branches to avoid taxes. What this policy suggests: if a bank routinely acts in ways that exploit the poor, destabilizes the economy, or moves money illegally out of South Africa, then the state should step in and take control. The bank would no longer operate for private gain, but for public good. Why do this? Protect national wealth and stop capital flight. Hold financial institutions accountable. Promote ethical and inclusive banking. Ensure banks support development, not exploitation. Example in practice: if a large commercial bank in South Africa is found charging township entrepreneurs extreme loan rates while secretly moving profits to tax havens, the government could nationalize it and redirect its resources to support local economic growth. Establish regional credit union and cooperatives in every province and township. The state should set up locally owned financial institutions in each province and each township that are run by and for the people in those communities. Key terms explained. Credit unions. These are member owned financial cooperatives where people pool their money to offer loans, savings accounts, and other financial services. Members are both customers and owners. Cooperative banks. Similar to credit unions, these are financial institutions owned by their members, usually focusing on helping local communities rather than making big profits. Regional, serving a specific province or area. Township. In South Africa, this usually refers to urban residential areas that were historically underdeveloped during apartheid. Purpose: give people in local communities access to fair, affordable financial services. Help fight economic exclusion by empowering residents to save, borrow, and invest locally. Keep money circulating within the community rather than sending it to big commercial banks. Example: instead of residents of Tembisa relying on big banks that charge high fees, a local credit union could offer cheaper loans, savings, and even support for small businesses, all controlled by the community itself. 6. Infrastructure and transport. Why it matters. Roads, railways, ports, and telecoms are the lifelines of the economy. Foreign control in this sector, real, undermines Africa's development. Custodianship framework. 1. All strategic infrastructure shall be state owned, but operated through community public partnerships to ensure efficiency and access. 2. Transport systems must prioritize affordability, ecological sustainability, and rural connectivity. 3. Immediate action points. Review and reclaim privatized infrastructure contracts that violate national interests. Mobilize local industries to produce construction materials, reducing import dependence. Integrate traditional trade routes and town planning systems into a modern, inclusive mobility strategy. 7. Technology and data sovereignty. Why it matters. In the 21st century, data is the new oil. Whoever controls the flow of information controls the future. Custodianship framework. All national data systems, identity, health, education, and finance, must be hosted on sovereign platforms. State-funded open source AI, robotics, and digital literacy programs will ensure technological self-determination. Strategic partnerships with BRICS and other global South innovators will reduce dependency on Western tech monopolies. Immediate action points. Build national data centers and digital firewalls to protect citizen information. Launch the Ubuntu Tech Corps, a public service program training youth in AI, coding, cybersecurity, and hardware innovation. Enforce data localization laws and tax foreign digital service providers. Conclusion of Chapter 7. Strategic state custodianship is not about returning to the past, it is about reclaiming the future. Each sector must be reorganized not just for efficiency, but also for justice, dignity, and sustainability. Custodianship creates a moral economy, one where resources serve life, not profit, where the state is a steward, not a master, and where every citizen becomes a co owner of their nation's destiny.